Paul Chryst, head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers. Wisconsin coming into this season as the favorites in the West Division, according to the media poll at cleveland.com, as the Badgers try to make their way back to Lucas Oil Stadium for the Big Ten championship game in December. And here's part of the reason why they are considered among the favorites. 84% of the production back from last season. Some key returnees, including Jack Sanborn, outstanding linebacker, and, of course, starting quarterback Graham Mertz. Pleased to have Paul Chryst with us now. And, Coach, let's start with that moniker as the favorite. I know you're a pretty even-keeled guy. You don't get too high, you don't get too low, but you're acutely aware that your players know about that, and they know that they are considered the favorite in the division. How much do you address things like that with your team and the expectations that surround them?
Yeah, I think that, when we've been fortunate and there are expectations that we should be setting for ourselves, and you shouldn't have to have anything, read about something to have those expectations. At the same time, we all have to really be smart and know that it doesn't mean anything. And the great part of playing this game is you do have to go out and play it, and you have to go earn it. And the only way that you get here or earn anything is by putting in the work and coming together as a team, and that's what our focus has to be on.
Last year was a very strange year for you all. Had some COVID issues and had some injuries, especially at skill positions on offense. But I think one bright spot that a lot of people are looking forward to is quarterback Graham Mertz. What has his progression been like this offseason?
He needs to have, a growing progression, right? And I thought last year, like any first-time player, he had a chance to play and did some good things, and you got to find a way to build on that. And certainly did some things that you don't want to do again, and you got to learn from that. And I've appreciated the way that Graham has approached, from when we came back from winter break. There is an approach to addressing those things, and in the end, he has to play better. But as we all know, we as a team can impact that all, right? It's not just one guy. And so I think, he's done a lot of things and needs to continue to keep working for himself to be the best and for himself to bring out the best in those around him.
You don't want to put a lot of pressure on him, but when you talk about being a quarterback, we talk about that being a leadership position. How have you seen him grow and develop and mature as a leader from last year?
I think that it's anytime you continue to get to know yourself a little bit better, that helps. I still think it's huge to invest in those that you're around. Mm-hmm. And I think he has done a good job of purposefully trying to authentically get to know teammates. Guys know when you're just trying to check the box or if you're really trying to get to know them. Mm-hmm. And then another thing that everyone on the team will appreciate, if he plays well. And that's a big part of it, right? And don't talk about it. You have to do it. And I think that's what he needs to make sure that his focus is on. And I love, his intentions and what he wants. Those are all authentic. He wants to be a good teammate. He wants to do all that he can for the group. But I think those things, I think a good leader, is those around you in the locker room respect guys that put the work in, respect guys that take the time to get to know you, and they like following a guy that's playing well.
One guy who we've heaped a ton of praise on in this group is Jim Leonhard, defensive coordinator. And he was getting courted by the Packers this offseason and decided he wanted to remain a Badger. I know that means a lot to your program, but what exactly is it that he brings to that defense and that group that's so special?
It was we're excited that he's with us now, right? And I say we, our staff, our players. I think what he does so well is he obviously knows a lot about football, but does a great job of kind of making it teachable and for the players to understand it. And I think that no question in my mind that he is driven by how can I help these players to play. And, the other thing I think that deservedly talk a lot about Jim, but I think we've got a tremendous defensive staff. And I know when you're around them all, and you see how they work together. Whether it's Bobby April, our outside linebackers coach, Bob Bostad, our inside linebackers coach. We added Hank Poteet to coach corners because Jimmy had so much on his plate. And then Ross Kalagi, our new defensive line coach, was our strength coach last year. So it's a really good group there, but certainly Jimmy leads it, and our players believe in him. And I think they believe in him because he does a great job of kind of taking what we want to do, but truly teaching it where they understand it, and it empowers them to be able to have that confidence to go out and play and to execute it.
What's it been like for you since Coach Alvarez has stepped away from the AD position, a guy that I know you have a lot of respect for?
Right. I mean, it's he's done so much for this program, and you can make an argument for this state, and then you realize how many years, 30 years at a place that, and was the face of it, face of Wisconsin athletics. And yet, I'm also really happy for him that he does, he's earned the right to retire, and you want him to enjoy that. And yet I think this year I'll probably see him every bit as much, Jake playing and all that. And I also, I feel like if I ever need to call him up or go see him, I could do that in a heartbeat. But it's I'm happy for him, and I'm also excited for, what that created an opportunity for Chris McIntosh, to come. And so it's, but overall, really grateful for all that I've learned from Coach and the opportunities that he's given me, whether it's as assistant or head coach. But it's, it'll be a little strange, right? I mean, because we're all so used to it, and you appreciate it. But it's, I hope that he can enjoy kind of the next chapters too.
You talk about what Coach Alvarez has done for Wisconsin, and one of the many things that he has done is kind of build a brand and an identity, and that identity was centered around running the football, and you've had star tailbacks at Wisconsin through the years. Last year was a little bit different. Jalen Berger, I think, kind of emerged as someone who potentially could be that bell cow. But what do you see for that position as you move into this year?
Yeah, we didn't have the star, right? I mean, it was that's something that I think is going to be a huge part of training camp for us, and quite honestly, could be the first part of the season. And we've got one of those situations. We're really excited about Gary Brown coming and being our running backs coach. Really excited about that. We've got a lot of guys, and now we've got to see who's really going to emerge from it. And as you guys know, the challenge of it is it's camp. You can't rep a ton of guys in camp, and so we got to make some decisions early, and you got to base it on what you hope is the right thing, so that you give them a chance to kind of grow and go with it. But I think that I like the guys in the room. We've got a number of freshmen in it, and they were all very successful high school backs. But you don't know, and I would be cautious to just immediately try to bank on a freshman. But we've added a transfer running back, but that's going to be a big part of who we're going to be as an offense. Still, running back will be a big part of it, and right now I couldn't tell you who exactly will be. I'm excited about who it may be and could be, but boy, we gotta put some work in, and they've got to do it.
Well, Coach, here's the good news. Last year we didn't get a chance to see it, right? So I could understand the running back situation, but I do remember the first year we saw Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I remember the
we
first
happened
play.
to be there that day.
Yeah.
So since we'll be back, we'll let you know.
That is key, and I appreciate you doing that for us.
We'll let you know who the guy is.
That was pretty easy to see, though, wasn't it?
One of the easier ones.
Like a real trained eye.
I remember.
Like ours.
I don't think. Don't know, but I don't think I'll forget it.
Yeah, he touched the ball twice in that scrimmage. Took them both for touchdowns. And then the other
Against
thing
the
we
number
were
one
really
group.
well trained with, he was on the sideline after that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you knew right then. And the best part was everyone else knew it too.
Everybody else knew.
We're gonna not touch him the same way that we touched the other guys. I mean, the practice before that, he was jumping in on scout special teams. Yeah. That's what I love about JT. But it was like, you're not going to do that ever again, JT. it changed our world more than it changed his world.
That had a pretty significant change for his world, too.
Yeah.
It had an impact on him.
Pretty neat.
Hey, I want to ask you, one of the big off-season stories is the potential expansion of the college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go through and look retroactively at some of these seasons and, well, who would have been in were there a 12-team playoff,
right.
Wisconsin comes up a number of times. So you clearly stand to benefit from this. Do you believe 12 is the right number? What's your vision for the college football playoff?
You know, I was talking with some of our players about it, and I think there's always, more teams that'd be great. You guys know, there's so much else to work out, and what is the right number of games, and kind of where does it go, and how does that fit in with finals and whatnot, and so. Then you get to a point where you're like, well, one, we're not going to be in charge of deciding it. And so, let's just be the best we can be. And if this is the rules right now, and I still think that's all the end, and let's focus on, too many times we want to get to the end and we forget to enjoy the journey. And the season is a great journey. And so let's just make the most out of the moments, and at the end of the day you look up and you say, okay, this is what we've earned or we didn't earn.
Cannot tell you how much we are looking forward to that journey this year, maybe more than any other year. It is so great to have media days back, to be able to see you and everyone else involved with this sport in person. Coach, best of luck this year, and thanks so much as always for your time.
No, thanks so much. It is great being with you guys.
Wisconsin Badgers finished last year on a positive note, beating Wake Forest in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. And as always, the Badgers, popular interview subjects at Big Ten Media Days. You see them earlier today doing some talking and also showing off the threads. All right, a little suit embroidery for each of the Badger stars on their suits. And they're showing off the suits right now. Joined by Jake Ferguson, Faion, Hicks, and Jack Sanborn. Great to have you guys with us. Now, what was going on in there? Tell me what we got here, Jake.
Got the name, Jake Ferguson, and then a number.
Okay.
Steve Walker Suits in northern Wisconsin. It's got
right.
us all hooked up.
Little shout out.
A little shout out there.
Yeah, it's a new world we live in.
New world for sure.
With the shout outs.
Yep.
All right, so how does something like that come to be?
Well, I think it was through our through Brian over there helping us out, getting us some suits that we could wear here. But Steve Walker helped us out, came to the facilities, got us all fitted up. It was pretty cool.
All right. Well, cool. You all look good.
Thank you.
You all get to choose, your own, right? Put your own unique
oh, yeah.
A little bit.
Signature on it, right? All the suits a little bit different. Well, looking good, guys. Let's talk about on the field. And last year was a tough year, certainly by Wisconsin standards. I mean, you guys expect to win the division every year and to kind of compete at the very top of the league, and it just didn't work out for you. Now, there are a lot of reasons why. We know how unusual last season was with COVID. You guys had a lot of injuries. So, Jack, I'll start with you. I'm interested in all your takes. Kind of how do you put last year into perspective? What do you take from it?
Yeah, it was definitely a tough year, I think, for not only us, but everyone around the country. We got hit with a lot of things, with COVID, with the injury bug, and it's easy for us, I think, to make excuses on last year, but at the same time, it did happen. In a lot of those games, we were in position to go out there and win them in the second half, and we didn't. So I think it's something that we also got to learn from, but obviously, I mean, it was a tough year, and I think everyone, not only us, but everyone here and everyone around the country is excited to get this season kicked off.
Faion, what do you make of last season?
Like you said, man, it was very tough. Going into a lot of unknowns every week, finishing the first game and missing two, then having to come out and play another game. A lot of times we couldn't get into a rhythm as a team. So many protocols to go through, but we excited to get back out there and show everybody who we really are.
Jake, what was the strangest thing about last season? Is there a moment where you were just like, what is going on here?
Yeah, I think it started, like they said, once that after that first game, we had 2 weeks off. We lost Graham, our starting quarterback, for 2 weeks, and I was sitting there, what is going on right now? I couldn't go into the facilities, couldn't work out, couldn't do any of that, couldn't see these guys any day. I mean, not only is that a physical toll, but it's mentally exhausting too, and it almost got me thinking, like, am I ever going to play again? Are we ever going to get a normal season again? And then just being in this atmosphere, being around Big Ten Media Day, all this stuff, gets you excited, gets you feeling like we're starting to get it going again.
Even last year, I mean, you guys did end on a positive note. I mentioned the bowl win over Wake Forest. What did it mean in a season of missed opportunities, in a season where you just flat out didn't get to do what you set out to do in so many different ways, to end on that positive note?
Yeah, of course. It's always always good to end on a win. But just going through all that adversity and just experiencing all that through COVID, all that stuff, injuries, like we said, it was good to just get back together and get a good solid win, good team win, and then go break the trophy and just hang out with
break
some
the trophy.
mayonnaise. Yeah.
Okay, so that is the real question. That begs the real question surrounding the Duke's Mayo Bowl, which is, Jack, did you get a replacement trophy? Is there a new trophy in the trophy case?
Yeah, I believe now we have 2 trophies. So one with the Duke's Mayo duct tape to the top of it. And then, then they ended up sending another one over. So I believe right now we got two Duke's Mayo Bowl trophies. It's up to debate which one is better, but
Now, Faion, has Graham lived this down? Right? Like,
man.
does he still get grief for breaking the trophy?
Man, a little bit, but all we know is the next trophy we get, don't let him touch it.
You've learned your lesson, right?
Yeah, man.
Don't let Graham near the trophy. Well, the journey to new trophies starts with some really tough games. I mean, you guys open with Penn State, which is going to be a marquee game. I mean, when you talk about what are the games people are going to be talking about early in the college football season, if that's not the first one, it's certainly in the top 2 or 3. You have an early game with Notre Dame, a game that you'll play at Soldier Field. We look at the schedule here. I mean, you got Michigan as your second conference game. So, I mean, there's a lot right there, a lot of meat on that bone from the very beginning. So as you guys think about heading into this season and needing to be at your best right away, how does that add? Does it add a sense of urgency? Do you prepare differently, Jake, than you would in a normal year?
I think it just shows how important this offseason was and how much smarter and how much we need to execute more in fall camp, and we just need to be clicking on all cylinders. Just not as an offense or defense, but as a whole unit, just be ready for that first game. And then I know the fans will help us out a little bit. I know they're psyched to get in there. They're itching for a game. And I know this whole squad here, we're really pumped up for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be huge, the Penn State game right off the bat. And then the Notre Dame game, Jack, a pretty cool one, too, especially for those who might be from the Chicago area.
Yeah.
What's it going to be like to play in Soldier Field?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be fun for sure. I mean, I'm already getting everybody I know asking tickets for the game. It's going to be a fun one, though. I mean the history of Soldier Field, the history of Chicago. To bring a big game like that to Soldier Field, I think it's going to be very exciting for Wisconsin fans, Notre Dame fans, but also just college football fans in general. So definitely excited for that one.
Faion, we were talking a little bit with Coach Chryst a while ago, and he mentioned some of the new coaching members of the coaching staff, Coach Poteet, coaching the corners now. Give us a sense of what his style is.
Dog mentality. He preaches that, every day, man. That's the type of mentality we want to have as a secondary, being more physical and being playmakers. He's done a great job as pushing us, creating the standard of the room. This is our first time since I've been here that we actually have a true position coach to kind of like help us with our technique each and every day. And he has a passion for the game. He really wants to see us succeed, man. He's done a great job, and I love Coach Poteet.
Jake, I think about this offense last year, and it just was not at the typical standard of Wisconsin football. And again, we can talk about all the reasons why, but it's probably not worth getting into. Tell me why you think it'll be better this year.
Well, one, I think just the adversity that we went through, I don't think we'll go through that COVID, those breaks that we had. It was tough to get in a rhythm. But I think right now we just got a lot of pieces in the right places. Our O-line is really tight-knit group. There's a bunch of good dudes. They're all in my class. And we all made it an idea that we wanted to come back because we had the idea that we could do something really special this year. Not just with that group, but with the running backs, the receivers, Danny and KP coming back. Just as a whole unit, we feel like we can execute a little bit better without those little breaks that we had.
Jake, as most people who are Big Ten fans probably know, Barry Alvarez is your grandfather. And you had a special moment with him this summer. You guys went to the Brewers game.
Yep.
and got a chance to throw out the first pitch, I was interested that he delegated the responsibility.
Yeah.
Right? He's a great leader. He's a leader of men.
Yeah.
And he basically said, you're throwing out the first pitch?
Yeah.
Well, he stood and watched.
Yeah.
Tell us about how that conversation
I was
went.
a little nervous, especially with him watching there. But, I almost got Tommy John after that one. I haven't thrown in a long time. And then I came back to Coach Chryst. I told council offered me a contract, and I was quitting the team.
Need some pitching help there with the Brewers.
Oh,
That
sure.
was a pretty good throw. I mean, was Graham Mertz asking you for any tips?
He was a little jealous. He was like, why didn't I get to do it? And I was like, oh, come on. But it was all good.
Interested in insight into the quarterback position, and I'm going to start with these guys first because I always find it fascinating. What do the defenders think of the quarterback, right? You guys go against them in practice. Graham Mertz got off to the amazing start last year, and you really couldn't start your college football career better than he did in that Illinois game. And then we talked about it, Faion. You mentioned COVID striking, the rhythm kind of got thrown off. So give us a sense of what makes Graham Mertz special from a defender's point of view, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think he started his college career on top of the world. I mean, there was only one way to go after that. But no, and I think just with everything going on, it was tough to get in a rhythm all year for him. He was out, couldn't practice, and then went through some rough games, and it was just tough to really get a rhythm, and especially for a young guy, his first year starting. And so I think that was tough for him. But, why I feel so confident in him is that he wants to be great, and you can see that. You can see that every single day. And I mean, even traveling, going to games and stuff, I mean, he's the one sitting there watching film. I mean, I always see him. I sit right across from him, and I'll put my film away, and then, he'll be watching it all the entire bus ride. So, I mean, he's got the mentality that he knows what he wants to do, and he knows how to do it. And so that gives me confidence in him, and I'm assuming it gives him confidence too, and that's what's most important at a position like that.
Van, what's the scouting report from your point of view, from a corner's point of view?
Man, one thing I can say, man, he's gained a lot of confidence since last year. You can see it throughout the spring ball, man. He's confident, he's getting more of a rhythm. Man, I'm excited to see him step back on the field, man. I'm pretty sure he has a lot of things he want to prove to everybody, and we got his back, man. So.
Jake, you mentioned you guys had some huge injuries at wide receiver last year. Danny Davis, Kendrick Pryor, those guys come back. Obviously, you're considered one of the top tight ends, not just in the Big Ten, but in the country. How different will that be this year for him to have kind of his full complement of playmakers?
Yeah, I mean, adding those two guys to the puzzle, the scheme that we have going, it's going to be big for him. He's just got that many more targets to throw to. And I'm excited. I'm excited to have those guys back. It's exciting to see those guys back at their full potential, working out, running routes with us. There's nothing better than a full team that a lot of injuries haven't affected, and that once guys come back, it's like, wow, I forgot how good that guy really was.
Jake, we talked about your family ties with Coach Alvarez, obviously. You've got some family ties on the team now, too, Jack. Your brother Ryan joining the team. Give us an early scouting report on him. What can Badgers fans expect from the next Sanborn?
Yeah, I mean, he's, I tell him that he got lucky that he comes in and everyone already knows him on the team. So he's not that freshman that comes in and doesn't know anything or doesn't know anybody. But, I mean, even right off the bat, he's a hard worker, and you can tell that he wants to get better and he wants to learn. I mean, he understands that it's a process, and he understands that he needs to get better in a lot of areas, and especially with, like, the playbook. But, he's willing. He wants to learn, and he's willing to learn. So I'm excited for him this year, and I'm excited for the future.
I mean, this defense in general, you guys led the nation in total defense last year. So we can talk about, well, it's a challenging year. I mean, you led the nation in total defense. It wasn't that bad, right? Yeah. Just Wisconsin standards, we know how high they are. But what's the next step for this group? Faion, I'll start with you, Jack. I'm interested in your point of view, though, too. I mean, how can you get better than where you were?
It's a lot of ways we can get better. It might look good on paper, but us being in the room, we hold ourselves to a high standard. We want to create more turnovers for sure, create more game-changing plays, especially as a secondary. But the sky's the limit for this group, man. I'm excited to go out there and prove to everybody again that we the best defense in the country.
Jack?
Yeah, I mean, I think the expectations are high, especially for our defense and for our entire team as well. I mean, I think all the pieces are there, and of course we got great news this offseason when Coach Leonard decided to not go to Green Bay and decided to come back to us. So, I think everyone's excited, and I think the expectations are high. We want to be a top 5 defense. And like Faion said, areas like those big game-changing plays, the plays that just flip momentum just like that, those are the plays that we need to make on a more consistent basis. And, I think that's going to be one of our big goals going into this year. And I'm excited to see how it looks.
How big a motivator is it to be in this building where the Big Ten Championship's going to be played and where the National Championship's going to be played?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. Just being in this atmosphere, this football atmosphere. I mean, like I said earlier, it just gets you excited. It gets you ready to go for the season. 2 years ago, it was probably the loudest stadium I've ever played in. And just the energy that came off the crowd and that you just felt coming out of the locker room ready to go, it's unbeatable.
That is. Now, it is a special atmosphere. Those who haven't been to the Big Ten Championship game should make a point to get here. I know these three would like to be back here making a point to do just that. Jake, Faion, Jack, thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.